Hello, this is Frank Falvey with Frank Presents. And today we're continuing our candidates interview, and I want to welcome Bob Dellorco. Did I say that correctly,
You
Bob?
You did.
Good to see you, Bob.
Nice to see you, Steve, Frank.
And Steve Sherlock, the co-host
Yeah.
here today. Steve, this has been a wonderful experience for both of us.
It has indeed. I mean, we get to collaborate. We've done that a few times with the election campaign results,
Right.
but now we're getting to actually coordinate the interviews as well. And as folks should be aware, clearly we're doing this video. We'll extract, the studio folks will extract for us the audio. So we'll be able to do the video, the audio, and then we'll have the transcription of the audio, so all the residents will be able to get prepared for their vote on November 7th with either watching, listening, or reading all the same info. So that's a good way to go, I think.
Okay.
Bob, tell us a little about your Franklin experience here.
Well, first of all, I thought it was radio, so I didn't dress for the part, so I want to make that perfectly. I thought it was completely radio, and then I see Tommy walking out with a full suit. He goes, no, it's TV. I go, Tommy, gee, nobody tells me that. So I'm dressed for radio, not TV. So
Relaxed and comfortable.
Yeah, there we go.
Comfortable
We're good. If they don't know me by now, they'll never know me, I guess.
This is true.
So obviously, my grandfather came here in 1908 from Italy.
1908.
Yeah, 1908 he came here.
What part of Italy?
He was from the province of Fisinone, and I'm not sure where that is because I never went back. I don't, but that's what's on his passport anyway. So, and then he had 7 children, which all grew up in Franklin, and then my father ended up marrying a girl from High Park and moved to High Park. But his brothers and sisters all stayed here, and all my cousins were growing up here. So I've been, coming here my whole life. And then actually, after my mom passed, we all moved back here about 30 years ago. And my father actually got to come home. He made a deal with my mother that he would move to Hyde Park, but he had to be buried in Franklin. So that was the deal they made 50 years earlier. So.
Sure.
And then I got involved with coaching. I was vice president of the Franklin Pop Warner. I coached baseball, CYO basketball, Pop Warner obviously, and then I transferred to the high school for 4 or 5 years coaching at the high school. And then at the same time I got elected to the council 2010. It's been a long time. And it was funny because I just started coaching at the high school, and it was a big ordeal that they brought me in the office and says, they were going to, I think they were going to pay me $2,500 or something like that. And they said, you can't get paid because you're on the council. And I said, if you think I'm coaching for that, then you're crazy. I don't care. I'll volunteer, whatever I do, I mean, I'm a big volunteer guy anyway, so I'll volunteer for anything. And then the last, actually, it'll be 12 years. It'll be 12 years, it'll be 14 after this one if I win.
Right. So,
and we did a lot, it was a lot of, the high school and Horace Mann statue. I was on the committee, which I was kind of proud of that because my father's biggest claim to fame was that he was born in the same house Horace Mann lived.
Ooh,
so that was a big thing to him.
connection.
Yeah, that was a big thing to him. So he considered himself a public educator too. So
Great.
Yeah.
and I've been married 30 years and I've had 3 kids that went through the school system. They're great. 2 daughters and 1 son, and all grown up, all working. They did very well. And my youngest is getting she will be getting married, and she bought a house on Oak Street from my cousin Paul, right on. The little ranch that my cousin Paul's doing over for us. So she'll be in Franklin anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know about the 2 others, but my son moved to St. Pete, and my daughter lives on King Street. So, yeah. But I think Franklin has a funny way to keep people from coming back. They keep drawing back, as my father would say.
There's a little magnetism here.
There's a little magnet to him. It makes him come back,
Yeah.
My son went to South Boston for 4 years, loved Boston. Yeah, he moved back last year. He was with me for a year.
Yeah.
So, but outside of that, it's been great. I mean, I've always loved Franklin, growing up here with my cousins and, even not growing up here at the kitchen table, there was, my father was very, very involved with his friends from Franklin. 44 years. He worked in Walpole for 44 years. He came back to Franklin every Thursday night to hang out with his friends as long as he, and he traveled around, and then he that was the one, he did that, and I don't know how he did it, but he missed one. The blizzard of '78.
Wow.
That was it.
Yes.
That was it. That was it. He wouldn't drive that day. He came home.
He couldn't drive that
Well,
day
yeah,
if he
right.
chose.
Yeah. But that was the only time he didn't miss. And everybody in Gardner Franklin, he grew up, knew he was coming back to town
Sure.
that
Yeah.
night. So they were waiting
Count
for
on
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So-
my Franklin experience.
That's been your
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could elaborate then, too, to the extent that it's so important. One of the aspects of democracy and engagement is voting, and I would think you would want to elaborate on that in terms of how important voting is to the overall democracy and town government in particular.
Town government, actually, the local election is sometimes, I think, more important than the federal or state election, because we're the ones that are going to be making the decisions for the whole town.
Correct.
We can get we will fight for money from the state and with the senators and stuff but we're the ones that are going to be making the zoning changes and the real tight, the stuff that you need that the people are really going to want. It has to come through us most of the time.
Sure.
And I sometimes I wonder about that. It is funny. I never forget this, and I tell this story all the time. If I missed a vote when I think Ronald Reagan was running for president, because I must have been about 18 or whatever. And I never forget, my father's a staunch union labor. He was a big labor guy, always voted, always supported who he wanted to. And I never forget, I was arguing with my dad about something. And I tell my kids this all the time. And they said, I argued, and my father said, "Did you vote?" And I said, "No, I didn't vote." He goes, "Then you don't have a say." He says, "Then don't even talk to me. If you didn't vote," and I never missed a vote after that.
Right.
So that's a word of wisdom I give to the younger kids.
Vote. Ensure that you have your say, especially in the local election.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that saying as long as I live.
So in your role as town council, certainly you mentioned that it's really key, and I would agree to the extent that whether it's the sidewalks, the roads, the schools, the police, the fire, you approve the budget for that.
Right.
So in your background, in your experience, what are the key skills that you want to highlight to the residents and voters? So these are the skills that you bring to the table.
Right. Well, it's obviously the last the last 12 years that I've been on it. We've had a pretty good easy budget. We've always balanced the budget. And the key in Council Frigello always says the pot is too small and it's always flowing over, and he is extremely right. It is always flowing over. So a lot of things we got to run. Sometimes we have to run something through capital that most likely should be done through the general budget, but we can't do it because we don't have the money. So we do it through the general budget, especially police and fire to get the training that they need, which they need. And, with the town growing the way it is, they need that. The school budget is obviously, we give them the money and they do whatever they want with it. They spread it out to wherever they want to do. That goes to the school committee. That's their job.
Yep.
I wish we had, maybe could see a little bit more better on what they did with it, to be honest with you. Because that's kind of a big check to sign to send it over to them. But, and obviously I'm a Teamster. I'm a union labor. I've been on, I've been on negotiating on both sides. Management, when I was at the T, I was with management. With the Teamsters, I've been a union, negotiating the unions. So I think that helps me and helps me with Jamie. Jamie asked me a lot of things. There's a lot of technique there that you can help. And even the fire chief in the unions, the fire unions and the police unions. Sure. They always sit down with me and I can help out with the fire trucks and stuff. That's what I do. I can spec them out. So
you're in the maintenance world, truck world,
and cruiser world and stuff like that. So I help out a lot that way to try to cut the cost. So we don't have to do it like Jim always sends me the form on the fire truck or the ambulance he does, and I'll go over it and I'll ask people in work. And so to me that helps me. I get I mean, Jim, we might not need that. We might be able to do it this way. Or if he's going to go with it. He went with something one time that I said, Jimmy, they're really not good vehicles. He goes, oh, I said, I'm telling you, we got to go with Pierce. Don't go with these people because I'm having nothing but trouble with them. So that's what we ended up doing. So in the long run, we might pay a little bit more, but we save. On the maintenance and
the upkeep and whatever.
And the upkeep and the out of service time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's I always feel that other counselors will rely on me for that, and I can rely on them. And I think, and I was just talking about this, I think that the problem is everybody's fighting with everybody, Republicans, Democrats, people fighting, and just work together and get things better, right. Who cares if it's a Democrat that makes a good thing for the country or a Republican? Who cares? It's good for the country. Let's just get it done. And it really bothers me. And I know sitting in front of you two, I know you guys feel the same way too. So
I'm happy to avoid the party politics by
me
focusing
too.
on a nonpartisan
I don't like
election.
that either.
Yes.
Let me ask another question. You're a union man.
I am.
You've been maybe on the management side.
I was on the management side at the team.
So have I.
Right.
I've been on both sides. Okay?
Right. That's
the question with federal employees, state employees, and town employees, to me, is that their fringe benefits today are far greater than any private sector.
No.
Am I wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong. They're how compared to union private sector jobs,
right,
that they're filling. Their pension, their health insurance, their retirement insurance isn't better than normal union jobs in the private sector.
Normal unions. You're saying like
municipal versus
municipal
something in the corporate
versus like. Well, but they're union is what you're saying, right?
You have librarians, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of a private library, but someone doing a similar job.
Okay. So take my
or DPW workers.
Okay, so it's funny you should say that because DPW workers right now are not getting paid what the private sector pays. That's why we can't find anyone, Frank. We got jobs out there. Motor equipment operator down at the DPW, they're probably getting $28 an hour. They're getting over 40 in the private sector. That's why we can't get anybody.
I'm talking about fringe benefits.
Okay, so they got to pay 25% of their health insurance, right? I think that's what we pay, right? And their pension now, because pension reformed in 2012, for you to get the top rate, you got to work till you're 68 and have 40 years. So before it was, you could work till 60 and get, so you can work at 63 and be at 2.0, and then you go up to 2.5% at 67. Before it was 59, 60, 61, 62, like 64. So they added 3 years onto it. So that's another that was another issue. And you're paying 11% when the other people are paying 9%. So that were hired after 2012. So, but the wages were always better. They were always better. The fringe
in
badges
the private sector.
in the public sector, they were a lot better because you had. But the private sector has caught up with us and actually gone by a little bit. From what the negotiations I'm doing.
A number of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
the fire department, police department in Franklin,
Yeah.
in the union contract,
Yeah.
began paying new hires after July 1st a reduced rate.
Yes.
I always thought
That's
the union was complicit in really hurting new people coming onto the job.
well. Thank you, because I agree with you totally too.
I mean, it was a union.
I
that was
hate that. I hate the steps.
And the
Yeah,
steps,
yeah.
the steps for fire and police, you have the same person doing the same
job
and the
And
same risk at a lower pay.
You're running into a burning building and you're getting paid less than the other guy. Totally wrong.
Now, does that
Totally
still
wrong.
exist in Franklin?
I believe we got rid of that. I believe that we got rid of it in the last contract when this new chief took over. I believe we got rid of that. So, I believe so.
But there's stuff like that people are trying to put in to save the town money. But in my opinion,
It
just
doesn't.
are not fair.
It's not fair. No, it isn't. And they're making it even where I work at Massport now. It used to be 2 years you would get to top rate. They made it. The company came in and said it's 6 years now. So now 6 years you got to wait to get to top rate. Last contract we brought it down to 5. Hopefully this next contract we can bring it back down to at least 3. 3 is reasonable. But now you're trying to hire people and they don't want to come on because they're like you say, they're making this amount of money and it's quite a difference. And then they can't get to top rate till 6 more years. I just, and Steve, you know this because I've said it in the town council. My mechanic's job I pay $50.10 an hour. I set the job up because we had a retiree. It was out for 2 weeks. And that's with the health benefits and everything like that. But they start off at like 38, and then they have to wait to get to the $50.10. I got 3 applicants, 160, 155, and 152. So you know where I'm going with this, right? If we don't change things, we're not going to get these younger people to come in and do stuff. I mean, you're teaching old dog new tricks here. I'm ready to go.
And when the younger people outnumber the older people,
Yeah.
the first thing that the next negotiation, they're going to cut the pension
Right. And
put more into the wages.
yeah, I think it's union busting when they do stuff like that. That's my personal opinion. And when they do that. And,
So I understand that in the next few years, if the revenue does not expand in some way, right, that it basically is a job-cutting decision basis.
I hate saying that. Of course, being a union man, I hate saying that and hate feeling that. But
So as
Yeah.
a union man, right,
Yeah.
how do you look at trying to come up with an alternative or trying to evaluate the union pay or the union contract? I mean, is it a case that really you can't negotiate lower wages because you're already not at a place that you're very attractive to outside people?
Well, yeah, basically, yeah. Because I mean, even the dealerships now, as far as the mechanic going, they'll pay anything. They'll pay you $46 an hour to walk into the joint if you're a decent mechanic, and I'm paying them 36 or 37, and they have to wait.
But aren't mechanics now being paid based on the job that they're doing? Isn't there a
Well,
book?
if you go flat rate, yeah. But a lot of companies are getting away from flat rate because that you have to have the work to make sure that the mechanics are making a lot of money. I've got a couple Ford mechanics that came in because we got all Fords basically on the cruises and stuff, and they were big. They were big guys. They were making a lot of money on flat rate, but the work isn't there. The cars are better. They're not breaking down as much, Frank. They do run a lot better. You're getting $200,000. I got my truck out there's got $190,000. I've done hardly nothing to it. You know what I mean? So, it's years ago when cars only lived 100,000 miles and you were barely getting that. And the mechanics would fix it. Matter of fact, the mechanic Sean, my friend Sean Ronnie that worked down the garage that I hang around, and he just went to work. He was a Ford mechanic, came down to Franklin Tire, worked down there, but he's 40, maybe over 40, wanted some stability. He went to work for the town of Franklin, but he just wanted the stability.
But you have to work 8 years, isn't it?
10 years to be vested, Frank.
10 years for the state to be vested.
To be vested, 10 years.
That's a long time.
I know. I would have.
And my wife had almost 8 years.
Yeah. Nothing. They get whatever they put into it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I know that they.
If they remember to send her a check.
Yeah, it's the 10 years, and that see, some people get on at 50 or 52. You're pushing it now, you know what I mean? I mean, not
Sure.
62 comes out, but you're not going to get much at 62. You're not going to get much at 10 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, I don't, because it seems to me to be a lot of money.
Well, you're going to get.
10 years, no. But if you put in 30 years.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get.
If you're a teacher and you put in 30 years, that seems to be a nice pension.
Well, you're going to get 80% of your pay, Frank. 80% of your pay every day, and you don't have
for the rest of your life.
Right. And then, if you're married, you
That's what I'm
passed
saying.
away.
I don't think in private industry today there's any pension.
No, there's no. I know National Grid got rid of it. They gave you a 401k, and they had a great pension too. Boston Globe. We're getting a bunch of people from the Boston Globe coming over to Massport. The delivery drivers, because who buys the paper anymore? Nobody's buying the paper. I mean, they're sending trucks out with a couple bundles. We just got a kid in, and he became a laborer. But so they stopped their pension 20 years ago. They froze their pension 20 years ago. I think Eversource is the same way. A lot of maybe I misunderstood you. Yeah, the utilities, like in the MBTA, when I worked for the MBTA, 23 years I got a pension at 52%. Right. Now it's you got to work till you're 65, even if you come on at 20. Right.
But the pension that you get is much greater than what private industry is offering today. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I misunderstood you, but you're correct. They especially you don't know where your 401k is going to be anyway, right? So if you don't make the right investments and you stuff like that, with the pension that we have, you don't have to make the investments. It's there.
It's a defined pension benefit.
Yeah,
is what it is. It's defined. It's not like a 401k experiment.
Yeah, right. It's just there.
Well,
Yeah, it's just there.
what's
Yeah.
a question that I haven't asked you that you'd like to expound upon or tell the viewers?
Well, you know, the one thing I think that I've done in the last 12 years is I try to help everybody, and sometimes my wife says, sometimes you got to say no, and I really can't. You know what I mean? And I try to help people all the time, and I try to do it in a quiet way. A lot of times I don't. I don't want the glory. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
You want help, you give me a call. I mean, I might not be big on the Facebook. I might not be good on that, but everyone has my cell phone. You call me, I'll do I'll do everything I can. And I've always been that way. I was taught that way. I grew up that way. And my father always said that your community is only as strong as the people that run it. And he was a big community leader. Even in Hyde Park, he's helped start Pop Warner. He helped do everything like that. So he built, if you want to call it community centers and stuff like that. He volunteered his time for all that stuff. And I think that gets in you in a certain way.
Sure.
That like you guys. I mean, we all are getting paid the same, and we'll probably get a raise next year for the same amount. So, but outside of that, people know where I'll try to help anybody, try to do anything for the town. That's just the way I am. I like to see the young people. I like to see the young people come and get more involved. I think this generation coming up is getting more involved than I think even my kids. My kids are like 20, 30, 28. I think some of them got involved. Obviously Kobe, but he went to school with my daughter.
Sure.
And but I think the younger generation is taking a good look at politics. Is really what they should. I mean, I always was involved, but I know friends of mine that didn't start voting until they were 35. And I bet you guys know the same about the same amount of people, And then they said, we better start voting. So you should have been voting for the last 15 years. So,
Well, Bob,
Yeah.
Dellorco, thank you for coming in.
okay. Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thanks,
Candidate
Frank.
for town council,
Yeah.
incumbent. For Steve Sherlock, Bob, and myself, we hope to see you at the polls from 6 to 8 on November 7th. Please say hello to us.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.